Today, I'm so excited to share to you all the academic rivals to lovers books that I read last February, and there were quite a lot. I just really wanted to seek out all the academic rivals to lovers books, but I did not want to finish all of them as of yet because wala nang matitira akong ganun. Today, I'm gonna share to you 14 books if I'm not mistaken. And if you catch me looking sideways, it's because I'm looking at my notes here on my laptop so that I don't miss anything. So I'm gonna go through this in chronological order, so what I read first from what I read last. And today, we're gonna start with the Poppy War trilogy. I know. So, the Poppy War trilogy basically centers on Fang Runin. She's from a southern part of China. She's actually a refugee, if I'm not mistaken. She's a war orphan. And the story starts wherein she's a slave to some family. And she works hard to get into this prestigious academy so that she can gain freedom, so that she doesn't get sold to marry some old disgusting guy. This contains three books. Again, it's a trilogy. So it starts with the Poppy War, then the Dragon Republic, and the Burning God. Currently, I have not finished the third book. Okay, so as for the first book, I really loved it. I loved how Runin or Rin wasn't some overpowered character from the start, how she had to work for it. I also loved that yeah, the story was realistic. It was accessible at the same time. I also loved R.F. Kuang's writing. It was so immersive. I was so scared because the books look so big. I have big book fear. For some reason, when I look at big books, I tend to read slower. But with R.F. Kuang's trilogy, I was able to really just cruise through it. I love the characters. I love the character development, especially the side characters, Kitai and Venka. I loved how they've progressed throughout the story. I really enjoyed the characters who were part of the psych. I was really attached to them at the end of the second book. And also, in the second book, I think this one centered more on Rin and her emotions and her as a girl. I feel like I saw more of Rin as a person, as a child, as a girl, that it really showed how she was vulnerable. It showed how she traversed through her doubts, traversed through her inner turmoil, basically just really grasping and trying to handle leadership, loss, grief, transitions, and all those things, and betrayal. Obviously, since this centers on war, the books in here, they do have some gruesome and gory details. This is not a young adult book, so be mindful of that when you read it. And okay, so as for the academic rivals to lovers part, it was so subtle. Oh my gosh. It was so subtle. I did not expect that starting with this series when I went into that academic rivals to lovers phase. I was looking for mainly romance because of course that's what I wanted to start with, but that's not what I ended up with. But I still did like it because of the world building. I also enjoyed the Chinese history, the fantasy elements, and just the immersive writing. It's just an overall good story, and it really sucks you in that world. So, if you like those things, you will enjoy this. The romance part, it's not there so much, okay? So, if you want something that's romantic, maybe turn to something else. I feel like this will have a sad ending. I don't know. Let's see. I feel like I'm gonna read the third book soon. So we'll see. But so far, I feel like this will have a sad ending. A lot of people cried when they finished this trilogy. I don't know what to expect. So now let's go to the lighter parts. So I started with My Mechanical Romance. This features Belle and Theo. This was the cutest. I really liked that this was what followed the Poppy War books. This involves STEM students, mainly focusing on engineering and robotics. This was a dual POV story, and I love a dual POV story. I just love it when I also just see the guy's thoughts, able to hear what he's thinking and how he's pining for the girl. So yeah, I really enjoy that. And I also love the Filipino themes in here, the Filipino cultural elements. I enjoyed the banter, I enjoyed the character development, the romantic development, and just the tension. I also love that it was like a love triangle-ish here. Sometimes you just need that push. The confidence. This was a really cute story with some feminist themes in here. I think it's a good start also to for the younger audience to be aware of what standing up for female rights is and equality. I like that they emphasize that luck plays a factor in success here. That if you don't work for the things that you won't achieve the dreams that you want. And yeah, I really like that humbling part in the story. So next book I read, Not Here to Be Liked. So this focused on Eliza and Len. Len felt honestly a bit bland for a male lead, but I did like the plot, though it wasn't really unpredictable, but it was fine. It was a good read. The story brings up the fact that, in movements related to social justice, some people can use that or mask that, can use that and mask their personal agendas. So I really like that this is something that people or our younger audience would be aware of, that it's not always altruistic, it's not always pure intentions that drive people to fight for justice. Next is What's Not to Love. This one focused on Ethan and Allison. So the first few chapters in here were kind of hard to get to. I was bored. When I got to just the exciting parts or the developing parts, I couldn't put it down. I was so excited. It's like when you get into that zone. If you guys have watched Kuroko no Basket, they describe a thing that athletes get into when they get into a zone. And I feel like book readers also get a zone that when they reach that, they just cannot stop. I like also that this wasn't some pining from the start kind of story, because in academic rivals to lovers, I've realized that there's a lot of those. Most of the time, it's the guy side. The guy really pines for the girl, but the girl feels like, no, they're just rivals. I have to beat him all the time. But this one, I really liked because they really just developed through knowing each other along the way. So I also loved how they were also just communicating in here. I love that they really pointed out that it's important in a relationship. Though, at first they weren't really courageous, but they did muster up some confidence and some bravery. So to talk and give clarity to what they should give clarity to. So I think it's really important, especially since this is targeted to a younger audience. However, Ethan is the male lead here, and he did feel passive, like with the whole romance thing. But I know it's just probably because he's scared to confess his feelings and get turned down, probably. But yeah, I think I just would have appreciated some confidence or some sureness. But along the line or along the story, he does develop into something more substantial. The banter, though, it was so funny. I really enjoyed it. At some parts felt like they were tethering, like near the line. They were almost crossing the line. The female characters in these stories, they're always stubborn, or most of the time they're stubborn. I don't know if that's part of the charm or not. I love the part in here that Hector said that in transitions, there's a difference with outgrowing someone and simply letting them go. Okay, so next is Ship. So this centers on Wesley and Stella, and this has like an online persona plot wherein they don't know each other. They don't know that the other person is the one they're talking to online. And it gives me like 25-21 drama vibes. I really like that. The ending though felt so bland. It felt meh. I wish that they included some epilogue or something. Again, I really liked Wesley and Stella. They weren't unnecessarily mean just for the sake of some banter or some tension. I really loved how they were still sweet and so kind, the story. So I really, really, really appreciated that. Okay, next. Tweet Cute. When I read this, I thought it would be an academic rivals to lovers. It's a rivals-ish to lovers. in an academic setting. However, this was the cutest story in here. It's so adorable. I really loved Jack and Pepper. I loved how kind they were. I loved how they were just cinnamon roll vibes. You must protect them at all costs. Yeah, that's the vibe that I'm getting from them. And there were two layers of anonymity here, so I really enjoyed how they uncovered those layers and how those were resolved. I also love that there was food in here because I really craved a real life monster cake afterwards, and I don't know where to get one in here. And just the ending, I really loved the ending. It was so cute, so adorable. I really love the epilogue. They're so cute. Okay, next. So we have Kissing Ezra Holtz. This one centers on Ezra and Amalia. I really love the names because lately the names in these stories, they're so common. They're so white. But my favorite part in here was the confession. They were so cute. This story has some spice in it, and I did not expect that. I'm not sure if they were even academic rivals, but yeah, I guess ish. Yeah, I guess. I guess they're enemies to lovers in an academic setting. So I think that's a more appropriate or accurate way to describe the story. Next, this one is my most favorite YA standalone book. This one is The Only Thing Worse Than Me Is You, and this focused on Trixie and Ben. And I really love the plot here. I loved also the romance. I love the lines. I love the character development, the banter, the tension, the love story, and also just the mystery part. There's no murder in here. I just love the mystery part that they had to uncover something in the plot. It made it so exciting. And I also love the friend group. I really like the dynamics there. If there was one thing that I did not like in the story, is that I did not like how they were manipulated. Okay, before I reveal the last books, just some honorable mentions that I read in the past that can be considered academic rivals to lovers or intellectual rivals to lovers. Number one is Beach Read. This was part of my most favorite books, or one of the best books that I read last year. And then the next one is Today, Tonight, Tomorrow. This is also one of the best YA academic rivals to lovers that I've read. They were so cute. This has some spice though. I feel like in the chapter there were some spice. Lastly, If You Could See the Sun by Anne Liang. This was something that I read last January. So this is also kind of an academic rivals to lovers with a fantasy element, with some Chinese cultural themes, and it was a contemporary romance. And as for the last books that I'm gonna share, this one is my most favorite. I just love them. I love them so much, and I found my new ideal type. It used to be Connor Cobalt. Oh my gosh. How could I forget? How could I forget? How could I forget? So, another honorable mention would be Kiss the Sky and Fuel the Fire. These two books, they focus on Rose Calloway and Connor Cobalt, but they are part of a series, the Addicted Calloway Sisters series, and this couple actually started my love for academic rivals to lovers in books. How could I forget? That's such a shame. I'm so sorry. So sorry. Dishonor on your cow. Dishonor on your family. Oh my gosh. Going into the last series that I'm about to share, this is the Stalking Jack the Ripper series. I love this. I love this so much. The lines, wow. The lines, the romantic lines, but also just the self-reflective, contemplative, philosophical questions. I really enjoyed those. And this is basically a murder mystery gothic romance set in the Victorian era. I guess this is a bit of a slow burn because they do touch the romance into four books. And the fourth book mainly focused on the romance. And that's why I really love the fourth book. I really just like Thomas Cresswell. He's like such a perfect picture of a gentleman and someone who respects you and respects your choices. And really, it's not just best foot forward, but he was just so consistent with his love and how his devotion and how respectful he is and his character. Staying true to who he is and who he wants to be and being firmly grounded in who he is and really fighting the demons inside him. So I really loved his character. So basically this centered on Audrey Rose and Thomas, and they are academic rivals, a bit, ish. I love the lines. I love also the love triangle part in the latter part of the books. This was pretty spooky to read at night. I was also just quite thrilled when they did add when they did add a love triangle element in here, but that my heart and my emotions did not enjoy that time. I was so conflicted. It was so crazy. Like, why can't you just stay faithful? Like, love is a choice. My gosh, it still gripped me. And again, I love Thomas Creswell. Okay, so final thoughts. I'm just gonna start with what I did not like in these books in general. So first, the guys seemed so passive in the stories. Not every guy in here, but some of them or most of them felt like they were scared to make the first move or pursue the girl or even just give a hint or something. But yeah, again, I understand where that's coming from. It's fear of getting rejected and it's scary. It's a scary thing, and that's why it's a step of faith when you do. The second thing that I did not like is that the girls always seem like they're poor here and the guys are like well off. A third reason is the guys are always good looking. Like, where are they? Where are those academic good looking guys? Okay, so going to the parts that I did like in these books, I love just how the guys looked at the female leads as someone respectable, someone capable, someone they supported, someone they did not look down on. I really appreciated that. I loved how detail-oriented the guys seem to be in these books. I really enjoyed those things. I really appreciated it. The third thing that I loved is that I really enjoyed that they showed that guys are also human and that they can be vulnerable and that they also have fears when it comes to changing dynamics with relationships. Okay, so if I were to rank my most favorites in here, the best of the best from the things that I read, it would be top 1, Stalking Jack the Ripper, top 2, The Only Thing Worse Than Me Is You, and top 3 would be My Mechanical Romance. I really enjoyed those 3 books. Those 6 books. That's it for now, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Goodbye!